In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this carved chest for LARPing. Okay, so I got talking to someone the other day, and they said that they did LARPing. Now, I looked up LARPing, I didn't really know what it was. It's live action role play, and you get to dress up in different time periods and enact it's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons a little bit. And he said about making a medieval chest to store his stuff in, and I could carve the front or the top if I wanted to. Now, I thought this was quite an interesting project. One I thought I could do for Woodcarving Magazine, and I also thought I could probably make a video on it and make it relatively interesting, hopefully. He's not giving me much to go on, so this is quite cool. I quite like I can make it what I want. So this is 30 inches long, 15 inches deep, and 15 inches deep and 12 inches high. And he said either Norse runes, animals, tree of life, or raven is their sign. So I quite like the idea of tree of life, or maybe some kind of repetitive kind of tree pattern across the front of it, perhaps. So I was going to build this in pine to keep the costs down. Obviously, it'd be nice to do it in oak with some clear oak boards, but I haven't got any here. What I do buy is lots of 9x1 unsorted redwood, and quite often you get nice clear boards in there. So I'm going to sort through my stack now and pull out a couple of clear boards and then get them on the planer, plane them down. I can joint some boards up, and that'll mean that tomorrow I can start assembling the box. Okay, so that one's pretty clear. Look how sexy these boards are. Look at them. Ooh. There's not a defect. Look at them. Look at them! Obviously, expansion and contraction is always an issue with wood. It's a living material. Got to deal with that. So looking at how some of the old kind of 18th century style and beyond boxes were made, what we'll do is we'll have a base like that. That's obviously going to overlap slightly, and then stepped in, then we're going to have the sides, and it looks like they're just nailed onto the base, and then seeing some of the different ones, and then they're just rebaited on the corners there and then glued, and then we can use some decent fixings. I have got some kind of old-fashioned clench nails somewhere if I can find them. And then the box top will again just be on top of that. I'm guessing it's going to be sat on, so it needs to be fairly substantial. And looking at some of them, yeah, you can find different hinges, but I was wondering about potentially kind of making a side piece like that with a pin that goes through, and then do the same on this side, and a pin that goes through there. So that was my thinking at the moment. So what we'll do is we'll cut out, so these pieces will need to be jointed together. There's going to be a joint in there somewhere, same on the base. Okay, so umming and ahhing about the best way to joint these two big boards up for the base and the top, and whatever I do, I will be criticised. So there's always that. So what I thought, I did think I could rebate it, but I don't know if that's going to gain much strength, especially when I'm kind of losing the ability then to put some biscuits or some dominoes in it. So what I did think I'd do was I could tongue and groove it as well. I haven't got the cutters for that. And I could set up rebate cutters to do it, but so it's kind of a lot of effort. So yeah, I'll just go for a butt joint with some biscuits in it. You know, as you can see, I don't know if you can see, goes together quite nicely. Oh, it's a bad example because I'm not holding the board square. But what I'll do is I'll use this biscuit jointer. Got this for about 20 quid, about 20 years ago. Second hand, I think it's blue to look like Makita. It says Jepson on it, but it does the job. So we'll put 4 biscuits in each. So if I put some marks down here. Okay, so light isn't great in here. This is my other, this is like my packing area for the stuff I sell on Etsy. Just made it. I'm going to make it all nice eventually, but at the moment it's just a bench. But it's great to have an extra bench for glue ups, which means I can carry on in there. So this is still a little oversized, I should say. What we're going to do now, glue it and clamp it. And you know, people say, how hard should you clamp it? Just enough. The most vague answer I can possibly give. So got a bit of, I always tend to use type on 3, everything, and get it in there. Right, so I have found an old carving from the Book of Kells, Lindisfarne, and I quite like it, that one there. So what I've done is I've gridded it up with even squares, and the plan is now to put some squares on here. Now I think 70mm squares I think will work. I'm thinking, see if I can make this look anything like it looks there. Okay, so I have drawn it out. So I've enlarged it. As you can see the little grid that I drew on this picture here. And then roughly, obviously it's an artist's impression of what I'm doing. I've roughly drawn it on. Now my concern is, one, I'm carving into pine, which is never the most forgiving of woods to carve. It's always going to be pretty sharp. It's easy to do ragged edges. The other is the fact that there's quite big kind of plain areas. When I kind of carve on something like this, I much prefer it to be a bit more busy, if that makes any sense. So what I have done, because I'm a wimp, is carve out a test piece. So as you can see there, I've started to carve out one of the birds with the pot that has all the bits coming out of it. And I've textured the background a little bit, which I quite like actually. This will also mean that this section here, if I decide I want to stain it, I can try staining it and see what it'll look like on the carving. So yeah, now the idea is I'll clamp this up. And then I'm just going to go through the normal process that I would for a relief carving like this. I'm going to line in. But I might do it in squares because I do get a bit bored sometimes. So I'm going to line in, do the edges, and then, I mean, the curves I've drawn on here don't have to be exact because I'm just going to go with whatever chisels fit the curve really to try and make it a smooth transition. So I've got the mallet somewhere. And so, you know, I'll strike in all my outlines. Then I'm going to lower the background to start with. And I might have to do this twice, bring the background down. Probably using kind of like a number 6 carving gouge. I have got the gouges out just off to the side there. So number 6 carving gouge. And then I'll probably level the background using like a number 3 and start to see how it looks. And then I can start to look at these other things then, start shaping them. But I might, like I said, I might just do each square individually. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 squares. And some of them have got quite a bit in, so it can be a bit daunting. Right, so I've carved it. Now this is one of those things I had to take outside, keep looking at it. There's still bits I'm not 100% happy with. Not massively keen on the grapes there, or mistletoe, whatever it's supposed to be. But as you can see, it's looking okay. I did instantly regret using pine, even though this was nice boards. It's just really tricky to get the detail. You can see this foot is actually quite low down because it kept chipping off all the time. Pine just doesn't take detail very well, so it's quite nice. It's got some nice wide sweeping bits, but all the little tricky bits were really tricky, funnily enough. So I did end up using a little multi-tool just to get between like the little grapes there and a few other bits in the corners. So you'll see me using the multi-tool on the hyperlapse video, but it was literally just to tidy it up, and it's a little bit, I hate kind of wispy bits of carving. They're like my public enemy number one. But I think that looks all right. Right, so I'm starting to put the box together, or looking at doing it. Tried to find some rosehead nails. I know I've got some somewhere, and I cannot find them. They're kind of a cut nail, the ends all rounded over nicely. What I have got is some like mild steel lost head nails. So I thought I'd get these. I've got the vise out there, and a ball peen hammer. And the idea is that I'm just gonna, I don't know if it's gonna show up on this camera or not. I'm gonna round over the end, so that one's been rounded over, make it kind of look worked, kind of like Smith formed. And then it's only going to need 3. 1, 2, 3 down each side. So it's only 12 nails. I need to get in the vise, just hammer over the end a little bit, make them look a little bit worked. So the bottom's nailed on, top still loose at the moment. It's really hard to find some decent hinges, so looking through my different books, I've got one by Peter Fulsonby. He uses some wooden hinges, so you kind of make a kind of cleat that fixes to the top here, which will also help keep this straight, because obviously it's quite a big piece of wood to keep straight, different changes in temperature and stuff. And then you just put a dowel through into there, and the same that side as well. So I'm going to try and do that. I'm hoping I've left it kind of wide enough to give myself enough room to do that. I'm guessing it will lift up a little bit like this. I'll probably do one side first and then the other. Now these cleats have taken a bit of thinking about. So what I did was I mocked up a couple on this scrap board I've been using with a bit of dowel in there and trying to figure it out. So I had to chamfer off the back corner of the actual chest, put the dowels through, and now I'm just going to screw up into there. The same on the other side, and that is about even. And I'm hoping that when that's on, it will lift up nicely. I've got all different size screws, and I've countersunk the ends like that to accept pellets. Oh yeah, it works. So, put them in a bit better. Mark them where they gotta go. Maybe put a bit of glue in there. Bit of glue in the dowels. That's that sorted. Right, so I've got the little button feet on there, and now I'm gonna look at finishing it. Got a few pencil lines to rub out, and then what I've got, I'm gonna use some bry wax. This is a medium brown. I would have preferred it a little bit darker actually, if it's all they had. It smells amazing. And then what I've done for the carving areas, I'm going to apply that with some really fine steel wool, and then for the carving bit, I thinned some down with some white spirits. And the idea is I'll build it up in layers with a little paintbrush and try and get it really quite heavy in the background where I've textured it to try and give it a bit of contrast. I'm hoping, this is always a horrible bit, that this is the right choice of finish. If it's not, you'll find me crying in the corner over there. The chest is finished, and what a labour of love it's turned out to be. The carving on it has been a bit tricky. I obviously picked the wrong wood, you know, pine. I was trying to save costs in one way, but it's cost me in others. I'd have been better off going for a hardwood and going for a different kind of thing in the end. It has been really tricky to carve, especially where there's details, kind of like around those grapes and things like that. It's been really difficult to kind of get it, and I think that's why, in a way, for me, it looks a little bit crude in places, but maybe that adds to the feel of it. You know, obviously a bad workman blames his tools or the materials, so, you know, I've only got myself to blame, and I know that. Next time I'll be doing it in something different. One thing I found really handy was I've got this kind of sample board of the same material, a little bit big, so it's a little bit wasteful perhaps, but I carved some of the carving out on it and then practiced different things. I wasn't sure how the stippling was going to work and how it would accept kind of stain and stuff. And then I also tried painting it, and I wish I was brave enough to actually paint the proper thing, but I wasn't. So yeah, so maybe I will one day, but at the moment I'm quite happy with it to look like that. And the finish is really nice actually. This wax finish, very tactile. I keep kind of rubbing my hands across it, so I'm really pleased with that and how it all kind of works. So yeah, let's go have a look at it. If you've watched this video right the way to the end, a massive thank you. If you could give me a thumbs up and subscribe, it would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.